1, 2, 3, drink. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. Turn back till I lose God. I'm gonna swim from the chandelier, from the chandelier. I'm gonna live like tomorrow doesn't exist.
Where am I? I'm trapped in this cartoon world. Anyway, 3 listenings today. The first listening is about the ocean for those of you who love oceanography and those of you who love marine animals. The second one is about the Pope. I think a very good Pope. We've had crazy popes. We've had other popes who are extreme and divisive, but I like this Pope. The third one is about the very beautiful, the very lovely, the diva, Ariana Grande. Enjoy the listenings. Do them today. It only takes about 15 minutes to listen to them, so don't tell me you don't have time to do them. 15 minutes to listen one time, about 30 minutes to listen twice. Answer the questions that go with it. Break me out of this cartoon world, people. I miss you. Have a nice 3-day weekend. Check back tomorrow. Bye.
The Kraken, a beast so terrifying it was said to devour men and ships and whales, and so enormous it could be mistaken for an island. In assessing the merits of such tales, it's probably wise to keep in mind that old sailors saw that the only difference between a fairy tale and a sea story is a fairy tale begins once upon a time, and a sea story begins, this ain't no shit. Every fish that gets away grows with every telling of the tale. Nevertheless, there are giants in the ocean, and we now have video proof, as those of you that saw the Discovery Channel documentary are no doubt aware. I was one of the 3 scientists on this expedition that took place last summer off Japan. I'm the short one. The other 2 are Dr. Tsunemi Kubadera and Dr. Steve O'Shea. I owe my participation in this now historic event to TED. In 2010, there was a TED event called Mission Blue, held aboard the Lindblad Explorer in the Galapagos as part of the fulfillment of Sylvia Earle's TED Wish. I spoke about a new way of exploring the ocean, one that focuses on attracting animals instead of scaring them away. Mike Degree was also invited, and he spoke with great passion about his love of the ocean. And he also talked to me about applying my approach to something he's been involved with for a very long time, which is the hunt for the giant squid. It was Mike that got me invited to the Squid Summit, a gathering of squid experts at the Discovery Channel that summer during Shark Week. I gave a talk on unobtrusive viewing and optical luring of deep-sea squid, in which I emphasized the importance of using quiet, unobtrusive platforms for exploration. This came out of hundreds of dives I have made, farting around in the dark, using these platforms, and my impression that I saw more animals working from the submersible than I did with either of the remote-operated vehicles. But that could just be because the submersible has a wider field of view. But I also felt like I saw more animals working with the Tiburon than the Ventana, 2 vehicles with the same field of view, but different propulsion systems. So my suspicion was that it might have something to do with the amount of noise they made. So I set up a hydrophone on the bottom of the ocean, and I had each of these fly by at the same speed and distance and recorded the sound they made. The Johnson Sea Link, which you can probably just barely hear here, uses electric thrusters. Very, very quiet. The Tiburon also uses electric-powered thrusters. It's also pretty quiet, but a bit noisier. But most deep diving ROVs these days use hydraulics, and they sound like the Ventana. I think that's got to be scaring a lot of animals away. So for the deep-sea squid hunt, I proposed using an optical lure attached to a camera platform with no thrusters, no motors, just a battery-powered camera And the only illumination coming from red light that's invisible to most deep sea animals that are adapted to see primarily blue. That's visible to our eye, but it's the equivalent of infrared in the deep sea. So this camera platform, which we called the Medusa, could just be thrown off the back of the ship, attached to a float at the surface with over 2,000 feet of line. It would just float around, passively carried by the currents, and the only light visible to the animals in the deep would be the blue light of the optical lure, which we called the electronic jellyfish, or e-jelly, because it was designed to imitate the bioluminescent display of the common deep-sea jellyfish Atolla. Now, this pinwheel of light that the Atolla produces is known as a bioluminescent burglar alarm, and it's a form of defense. The reason that the electronic jellyfish worked as a lure is not because giant squid eat jellyfish, but it's because this jellyfish only resorts to producing this light when it's being chewed on by a predator. And its only hope for escape may be to attract the attention of a larger predator that will attack its attacker and thereby afford it an opportunity for escape. It's a scream for help, a last-ditch attempt for escape, and a common form of defense in the deep sea. The approach worked. Whereas all previous expeditions had failed to garner a single video glimpse of the giant, we managed 6, and the first triggered wild excitement. Oh my God! Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
It's just hanging.
It was like it was teasing us, doing a kind of fan dance. Now you see me, now you don't. And we had 4 such teasing appearances. And then on the 5th, it came in and totally wowed us.
Look at that.
Oh, yes!
The full Monty. What really wowed me about that was the way it came in up over the e-jelly and then attacked the enormous thing next to it, which I think it mistook for the predator on the e-jelly. But even more incredible was the footage shot from the Triton submersible. What was not mentioned in the Discovery documentary was that the bait squid that Dr. Kubadera used, a 1-meter-long diamondback squid, had a light attached to it, a squid jig of the type that longline fishermen use. And I think it was this light that brought the giant in. Now, what you're seeing is the intensified camera's view under red light, and that's all Dr. Kubadera could see when the giant comes in here. And then he got so excited, he turned on his flashlight because he wanted to see better, and the giant didn't run away, so he risked turning on the white lights on the submersible, bringing a creature of legend from the misty history into high-resolution video. It was absolutely breathtaking. And had this animal had its feeding tentacles intact and fully extended, it would have been as tall as a 2-story house. How could something that big live in our ocean and yet remain unfilmed until now? We've only explored about 5% of our ocean. There are great discoveries yet to be made down there. Fantastic creatures representing millions of years of evolution and possibly bioactive compounds that could benefit us in ways that we can't even yet imagine. Yet we have spent only a tiny fraction of the money on ocean exploration that we've spent on space exploration. We need a NASA-like organization for ocean exploration because we need to be exploring and protecting our life support systems here on Earth. We need... Thank you. Exploration is the engine that drives innovation. Innovation drives economic growth. So let's all go exploring, but let's do it in a way that doesn't scare the animals away, or as Mike Degree once said, if you want to get away from it all and see something you've never seen, or have an excellent chance of seeing something that no one's ever seen, get in a sub. He should have been with us for this adventure. We miss him.
5 words started it all. The Pope was talking about gay people who are seeking the Lord in good faith. For liberal Catholics who cheered the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to legalize same-sex marriage, it seemed the Pope was on board. But for conservatives, the Vatican's actions, the Pope's words, are alarming.
It's a fascinating discussion inside Catholicism to watch, and any of us looking into that conversation recognize you've got warring visions of both who Pope Francis is and who many want him to be.
Dr. Moeller, who is Southern Baptist, says Pope Francis is a master at symbolism, but he doesn't dare change church doctrine for fear of splitting the church in two. It's something many conservative Catholics are loath to talk about publicly. Monsignor Thomas Bolin is vicar of Opus Dei. What's the difference between a liberal Catholic and a conservative Catholic?
Someone who is a good Catholic, a serious Catholic, a consequent Christian is someone who follows the teachings of Christ, what Jesus laid out for us. And someone who wants to know Jesus, meet Jesus, and follow his way, and not just go into follow their own way, but who wants to follow Jesus' way.
But politics do matter. Catholic conservatives, along with other religious conservatives, are incensed the Pope blames human beings in part for global warming. They accuse the Pope of being a Marxist who wants to spread the wealth to help the poor. And for those who revere the more conservative popes, John Paul and Benedict, some are decidedly not happy Francis will speak before a joint session of Congress.
As an evangelical, I'm very concerned that a religious leader, the head of a church, is being recognized as a head of state and accorded the kind of influence that would normally come from an elected head of government.
Pope Francis is surely aware of the turmoil he has created. As a wise nun told me, sometimes it's good to shake things up. Carol Costello, CNN, New York.
So we heard Focus for the first time last week, and we chatted on the phone, and we played it. And you know, so many people have sent me this because people think that I'm going to love it, and I do. How was it that moment when you release new stuff? Is there ever any worry because you've been so successful? Are you quite confident in knowing that people will like it, or is there worry like, oh, it might not be as good as previous stuff?
I mean, for me, I'm very excited about Focus. I'm very excited about it all, but I don't really sort of set like, oh, well, I have to beat myself last time, or I have to beat this, or I have to do that, because that's not why I make music. Yeah. That's not at all why I make music. So, yeah, I think it's all just, I appreciate the positivity and everyone who's excited over it.
And people are excited. I mean, it's got a lot of reaction and a lot of love.
It's been great, but, you know, the best is definitely yet to come.
Yeah. And
I'm excited for this next album whenever it's done. A lot of it is done. I say that I'm close to being done, but I'm afraid that I'm going to get back to LA and then be so in love with like the creative process again that I'm going to want to just like keep making.
I bet it's quite hard to end it, like because it's a funny thing to end, because it's funny because if you're creating all the time, it's funny to put like a time scale on that and hand it in.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
really
super hard, especially when you get so attached. Yeah.
Who do you like play music to get judgment? Do you have like friends, family? Like who do you play it to? Who's like the go-to person that will tell you straight up?
My most honest feedback always comes from my friend Alexa.
Right.
And I mean, of course, my brother, my family, like my very close friends, but my most honest, Frankie always freaks out no matter what I do.
Right.
He loves it.
He's here.
But, he is here.
What's up?
Hi, Frankie.
How you doing, darling?
Do you like Focus?
I love Focus.
But but my best friend Alexa is always very honest.
Like to a fault. Is she ever like, this is a stinker?
No, always. If I do something she doesn't love, she's very honest. I love that. Though.
You need those people.
That's a best friend.
That is a best friend.
That is a best friend. She'll be like, okay, this is not the best outfit on you. That wasn't your best look, but I love you and it's great. Or it's not my favorite, but it's still a bop. You know, she'll keep it real.
I like that. I want to talk to you about some acting, because I know that you've been doing acting and have before and stuff. But one thing I want to talk to you about is Zoolander 2.
Oh.
Because I hear you're in it. This is what I heard. And Zoolander is like one of my go-to films.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
One of my favorites of all time. Still funny. can you tell us about anything?
Where did you hear this?
I don't know. The internet. The internet's saying things.
Oh, well, if the internet does it, it must
be true. The
It
internet's
must be.
always true.
It's always correct.
Always.
Seldomly.
But are you in it? And what's going on?
I love Zoolander.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how so many people have been asking me about this lately, but I never said anything. It didn't come from me.
Okay. So you're in it.
I might be in it for like a second.
Okay, because Bieber's in it.
Second.
I heard Justin's in it, and we saw some of him filming it, and Kim Kardashian's in it as well. Apparently, did you see those guys on the set?
No. But there are lots of fun cameos.
Yes,
but I can just say that even though it's a tiny little thing, it was like the coolest experience of my life. But you didn't hear from me at all. Okay. Even though I'm sitting here on camera and I just told you.
Okay. Someone bullied you into it. Well, me essentially. What I wanted to ask you was, when we were talking about earlier, I wrote down internet, so I didn't forget this.
Okay.
When we're talking about like stupid stuff that's written about people on the internet,
yeah.
What is the most ridiculous thing that you have read or
I don't think
had
I
a
want to
call?
revisit it.
Brittany was on the show. Brittany said she got a call from her publicist being like, a newspaper in the UK are going to run a story asking whether or not you and your children are aliens. Can you confirm or deny?
Oh,
she
that's
was like,
ridiculous.
I mean,
someone said recently in like a big paper in New York that I fired my mom as my manager.
Right.
And my mom was never my manager. Like you have to understand, my mom is the CEO of 3 companies that design and manufacture marine communication equipment.
Wow.
So like this is the last thing that she like cares about. I go to her for business advice always because I've always been more of a creative and she's always helped me like understand the business of it all because I've always been more of a creative. So instinctually, she knows what she's talking about. She's a genius businesswoman. So I always ask for advice, but she was never my manager. I have 3 of those.
Wow.
I'm good. I have like I keep it separate. She's always been mom.
Yeah.
Who I like also go to for advice.
For advice, like everybody does.
But it was so
What does she do? She manages
but
what, 3?
Yes, companies that design and manufacture marine communication equipment.
Wow,
so, like,
imagine if she did that and then also managed you.
So like if you see in like the Titanic or movies where there's like helicopters or ships or anything and you always see her parts in like movies and stuff. It's very cool.
Oh, cool.
Like those green headphones that they're always wearing in movies. Yeah. My mom makes the inner, like the pieces that go inside.
Oh, wow.
Not the shell. She would have made them a different color.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, Ariana, it was great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Come back and see us at any time.
Yay.
Keep my glass full until morning light, 'cause I'm just all